to our first home and garden show. Did you have a good journey here?
It's been great. Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely. Have you had a little look around Whitehaven at all?
I've had half an hour to have a kind of a quick blitz right across the harbour. Amazing place, and it's such a nice day as well.
Yeah. We've been blessed by the weather, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Now, I know later on that you're going to go look at the gardens at 7 Nicholas, and I know you've got a big thing about gardening not being seen as a low-paid area of work, really. We've actually had both volunteers and apprentices from the college redoing those gardens there. How do you feel about horticulture apprenticeships being available? Is that going to help when it comes to making it a better area of work?
I think it's so important. I think horticulture has this really strange idea of propagating itself as if it's poorly paid. In fact, one of the first things you'll always hear about people who are promoting careers in horticulture is to say that, it's not well paid, but every industry has low paid jobs. But it isn't definitely not reflective of it. Horticulture can be incredibly well paid as long as it's valued. And I think the stuff you're doing, greening up the local area, really demonstrates, how valued that can be.
Yeah, lovely. Now, obviously, you've brought your book along today. So what's the book all about?
Oh, they've appeared out of nowhere. Oh, which one is it? Because I've got a whole bunch of them.
We have
Okay. So Grow Your Own Drugs.
Drugs.
That's one of the ones I came up with a couple of years ago, and it's about growing a whole range of different things that can really easily at home, prepared really easily at home. Have great scientific plausibility behind how they work in terms of
Right, because a lot of pills are actually developed from originally plant and herbal recipes, aren't they? So
Approximately 50% of the most commonly prescribed pharmaceutical drugs, the stuff that NHS provides, the stuff that's available in boots, are derived from natural sources. So people have this idea that there's a big black line in their minds that separates chemical, synthetic, potentially really effective but loads of side effects from kind of natural, airy-fairy, probably won't do anything but is safe.
Yeah.
Really, that's a cultural distinction, that's not a scientific distinction. To me as a scientist, it doesn't matter whether the chemical comes from the leaves of a plant or is found in a pill. It matters whether it works. And in many instances it's the same chemical.
Right, excellent.
James, do you think that schools should be getting more involved with the kids and letting them see how things are grown, and so that they don't think everything comes out of a packet? I'm speaking from a chef's point of view. So for me it's very frustrating. Children think everything comes out of a packet. So for them to see how things are grown and how it, even having a little flower or a vegetable patch at school.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important. Like, for example, so I went to a Singapore State school, and when I was in the UK, I was the biggest kid in school. So I was forced to play rugby as a kid in like 35-degree heat, monsoonal rain. So I haven't developed a phobia of mud, like the smell of mud. I used to hate beetroot because it tastes like mud. I didn't realise this until I started growing around. The chemical that's found in beetroot that gives it that kind of soily flavour is genetically determined. It's a chemical called geosmin, and it's only found in certain varieties. So by picking the right variety, the flavour of beetroot and that muddy, earthy flavour is completely independent. I love beetroot now, and I didn't know that. And if you were stuck with supermarket varieties, which are generally quite high in geosmin, you'd have never have known. And it's only by growing your own you realise that this is massive array of choice out there. If only you're kind of led into it. And growing your own is the only way to get hold of it.
And growing your own, you do get a far better taste as well.
Depending on the variety and depending on how you grow it, absolutely. Supermarket strawberries are usually picked when they're pink, as opposed to when they're red. Pink strawberries contain less than 1% of the volatile compounds that give strawberries their flavour, as opposed to red ones.
Right.
It's a no-brainer.
But I know you've talked about the fact that people think to grow their own potatoes, perhaps, but there's a lot of options of what you can grow more now, isn't there?
Well, I think the really sad thing is most grow your own advice is based on lifestyles of the early 40s. So when my granddad was doing it, my granddad in rural Wales had a very different life to my life in central London. And I think growing your own potatoes is one of those things. Main crop potatoes, regular types. If you were to do a Pepsi challenge, blind field test, homegrown versus supermarket bought, I think in a million years you'll be able to tell the difference. So people say that growing your own blanketly tastes better. I don't think that's very true as a scientist. I think sometimes it does. And with things like strawberries and things like sweet corn and things like tomatoes, there's a massive measurable flavour difference. Onions, sprouts, sweet so much. I think it's our job as scientists to really say that if you love growing your own potatoes and it works for you, that's great. But if you really want it to live up to the hype of growing your own, you've got to pick your species right and you've got to make it.
Yeah, James, do you think the problem is it's a bit like with, as again I'm speaking as a chef, it's trying to break down that people have got this, it's too difficult. So from a growing it, do you think people have got this perception that it's just too difficult to grow, and it's that in actual fact, I talked about this with John Christophe earlier on, is that actually cooking isn't that difficult. It's only as difficult as you want to make it.
Absolutely.
So it's the same, and it's the same with growing as well.
Well, the really I think quite hilarious thing about growing your own is the standard advice about growing your own actually will generate the worst flavour and give you the highest amount of input. Like you'll have to do the most work for the least results, and it's basically because they stem from agricultural textbooks from the 40s. And in the 40s, we were really concerned about feeding the nation, about pure calories and getting on the table. We weren't concerned about flavour at all. And so it was about all the effort you could possibly do to get more calories from that spare piece of land. In tiny front gardens, when people are growing their own tomatoes, they're not trying to get as many tomatoes as they can. They're trying to get good flavour. In fact, you don't really water that much, you don't fertilise at all, you almost don't prune at all, you do as little as you possibly can. You end up with slightly stressed out plants that produce less crop, but the flavour just goes off the scale. So most flavour chemicals of plants are stress chemicals. So when they're slightly unhappy, they actually give you better results. Absolutely. I'm doing it with the NHS as well, which will hopefully have most of it in all scientifically trial-based. So
Lovely, that's great. Thanks very much for joining us, James. Bye everyone.
Thank you, James.